Thanks everyone for joining us right before lunch. Hopefully we'll be a good appetizer for you. So let's have some fun here. I'm Johnny Anderson, the AVP of Customer Experience at FuelCycle, and I'm joined by the Sonos team here. You want to?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Jen Udis. I'm the Director of User Research at Sonos, and I oversee consumer, professional, and exploration research.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sue. I'm the lead user researcher from Sonos. I've been at Sonos for 5 years, and I lead and manage the research for professional team. I'm very excited to be here today to tell you about how we leverage community and research insights to elevate sound experience for our professional customers.
Any Sonos users in the house? All right, look at that. Okay. So a little bit about FuelCycle, if you have not heard of us. We are a leading market research software out there that specializes in market research online communities that helps you run agile, quantitative, and qualitative methodologies in every way you could possibly imagine. Think about a CRM on steroids, which we can integrate on your own with things like Salesforce, but allowing you then to do progressive profiling and segmentation, as well as running any of your quant and qual research all the way through execution and analysis and reporting. We do have a booth. It's 210, but then on the pamphlet it says 213. We're purple in the middle. Just go ahead and find us out there. You might be a little bit more excited to hear about our Sonos team here.
Yes, so delighted to hear there's some customers in the audience. But for those of you who don't know Sonos, we make sound products for your home. You can see in the picture we have a lot of speakers that are for home theater, in every room of your home, and now outside of your home. We also make portable speakers, and we're pushing into professional right now. The other thing that's important to know about our brand is we have an app that allows you to seamlessly seamlessly control the sound in every room in your home, which means you can also have different content playing in your home. So no need to hear wheels on the bus go round and round in your child's room throughout your whole home. So that's something that we've really changed the game in the audio industry around. And one thing I wanted to share with you is my team's mission. User research at Sonos, we feel very strongly about these principles in any program that we support. And that is, we really do shape the future of sound by understanding real needs. We're not going to just do tech for tech's sake. And so that's the gift that our team is able to give. We also always strive to have actionable insights. Insights are great, but if they don't lead anywhere, we know that we're not doing our job. And we do that in an unbiased way. We're not building the products. So although we work very closely with all of our partners in product, we're able to be very objective in our approach, which is huge. We also develop frameworks that really help us include diverse perspectives, and we ensure we're including all of our audiences. We are really very strongly in the lead of making sure we're not in an echo chamber and only speaking to our biggest fans. We have a lot of them and we love them, but we need to be able to continually grow our audience. So that's something we pride ourselves on. And finally, and I think most importantly, the way that we approach user research at Sonos is we invite everyone into the research, and it's not just let me go in my little corner and come back with a report. It's really from beginning to end. We collaborate and share our learnings throughout a program, and we really do believe that is the most effective way to build better products.
So we want to learn a little bit about a new era of research that's happening on the Sonos end. And I mean, even just from the customers that we have here, right? Sonos has made some undeniable waves in the consumer and residential space. So I'd love if you could describe, how your team kind of uncovered gaps and needs in the business use case of Sonos products and where that's leading you to now.
Yeah, so a few years ago, we actually found out the love of Sonos at home is transferred to the commercial spaces as well. So some of you guys utilize using Sonos, and they really love the ease of use, great sound quality, premium design, as well as joyful experiences they enjoy at home. They kind of proactively utilizing it in the commercial locations. So for example, if you go to a restaurant or maybe a healthcare facility or retail, you will see Sonos utilizing in those spaces. But one context we want to provide is like as Sonos, when we are designing product, our experience bar is really high. Whenever we develop something or whenever we launch something, we want to make sure we bring out the best possible sound experience and overall experience to our customers. So we see the opportunity of utilizing Sonos in commercial spaces, but we cannot assume what's working well in the home will be working well in the commercial locations. That's where Jen and I, we started to do some research. So when we do the research, we examine about the audience who are using our products. And if you think about the commercial audiences, there are different verticals in food service, retail, healthcare. There are different needs there. So we really talk to them and understand their needs. And also we examined like the user journey where we see like, oh, what are the differences between home use and commercial use? For example, in a home, you probably play music for several hours, but in a commercial spaces, music is playing for 24/7 or 8 hours, 12 hours. There's more tier and aware of the commercial devices utilized there. And how should we think about that, design it differently for commercial services or commercial customers? So we kind of really deep dive into the research and really learning about what are the challenges, what are the customer needs, who are using our products, and how should we really deliver the next level experience to our customers.
It's a different audience, right? And so there's unique challenges that come from that. As you start learning about how you're going to approach this new audience group, are there any other challenges, with this specific audience that you had to sort of take into consideration before you started?
Yeah, so as we dive into the commercial spaces, we kind of examine the user journey. And let me give you an example about decision-making process. For B2B customers, for a business location, when they are adopting audio solutions, there are multiple decision makers involved in the process. So there will be like a president, owner trying to decide whether or not we utilize the sound solution. But there's also IT, security inputs. There's marketing. They want to ensure the brand image is expressed from their sound experience. So as I think about research, we have to make sure we involve the different decision makers and make sure like we understand what are the checkbox they are doing, what are the needs, how they are evaluating the solution so that we can deliver that comprehensive learning to our team. But if you think about research operation, that definitely increased the sample size, the lead time. But the other context is this is a very new and exciting opportunity in the whole company. There's excitement that we need to move fast. This is something that we really want to launch product quickly. But so there's a challenge between like how we balance the learning, the solid learning versus how we balance like the launch timing. So that's definitely a challenge. And efficiency and how we scale the team has always been a conversation for me and Jen. So.
Yeah, that's perfect, Sue. And I would just chime in to say like the bigger challenge for us as a company was, Sonos is a company that was founded by people who developed technologies that they enjoyed. And it just so happened that there were a lot of other people that enjoyed it too. So it made it very straightforward from the approach of marketing, packaging, messaging. It was very easy for us to execute on. And for professional, it was a very meaningful challenge. As Sue mentioned, there's multiple people involved in the decision making. The needs are very different. And so the big challenge for our team was to really help message that internally, like, hey, we're not designing for ourselves. We aren't business owners. We aren't doctors. We have to put ourselves in their shoes. And so that was the unique challenge that our team faced.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would add to that is if you think about from business perspective, there's a very clear business goal. We want to really enter this space. What are we going to do? And there's a very clear goal. And from a research perspective, we also want to help our team throughout the process. For us, it's a 0 to 1 process. And one of the fear we have is you don't want your team to develop something that is really fancy. They spend like 2 years developing this, like all the capabilities, features, and then you launch, the customers was like, no, that's not what I need. So how we can ensure that we can, throughout the process, we can keep testing and iterative testing to really gather feedback and make sure there's like a really solid product fit and like there's a customer needs there. So with that, actually, we did a private preview before we even go with public launch. So we actually like recruited some of the customers, and whenever we have a feature or capability developed, we'll launch to that group, and then we'll kind of interview them, gather feedback, and see, okay, this is not working well, or this is need a little bit more, and then we just iterative doing this test. So by the time we do the public launch, we've actually already got a lot of feedback. And the other benefit for our team is we've already got a good group of people utilizing the products, and they are willing to pay for it, which is really, really helpful. Yeah.
Love that. So you've gotten 2 milestones along the way, right? You clearly have a need and a desire to learn more, and you've done some audience analysis. All right, we're going to have to approach this differently. Here's what we're taking into the piece here. So the next question is, what helped you decide on community as a solution, and what made that methodology and that tool so integral to your research?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for community, I think actually even before we utilized Fuel Cycle, we did our own little experiment. We have a group of customers, we call them advisories. So we have an advisory board, which we engage them like on a regular basis. But what I found is whenever I have a question, I have to just like write emails and sending the schedules and talk with them, getting an incentive. And sometimes your team only have one question, and I have to go through the whole process. And Jen and I were like, we really wish there's a platform where we can put all these people together, and then I can make announcement asking one question, and all of our members will answer it. That's like more efficient for us, and that will reduce a lot of logistic problems there, especially with the context we really need to move fast. Efficiency is one of the key things we are considering about. So that's where we saw like Fuel Cycle, and it's actually a great like dream come true for us. So that's where we started to utilize Fuel Cycle community.
Did you have to pitch any of your stakeholders and try and win them over if they were like, I'm not quite sure, I've heard about this?
Yes, definitely. I think just going back on my previous comment of we can't build these products based on our own needs today, I think what we really were able to do because of that and sell that was to engage the larger company around this and rally around this, and that includes marketing. So similar to product not waiting for the research report, marketing shouldn't be waiting to hear about what the community needs and what they're talking about. They should be working in lockstep with our team. And so that was something, as Sue mentioned, there's questions from every team to this, from packaging to, mechanical engineering to industrial design to marketing, And so we really needed to bring this group together in a way that we could be, like Sue mentioned, very agile. The other thing that I think was very important as we dabbled in our advisory board phase was that often when we'd finish these conversations, the participants would be, where do we go from here? I just shared my insights with you. What are you going to do next? How do I know if it's actually going to make a difference? And we also recognize that these were people, VPs, CEOs. They are making time out of their day to literally help us build better products. So we wanted to create an environment for these folks that made them feel valued and really help them feel like this isn't just a one-off conversation. We're going to follow this. You're going to be a part of this. and it's a give and take, and that's going to give back a lot to Sonos in the long run.
Absolutely. And maybe a good segue is we start including some quotes from your community members on some of these visuals here. It's clear that you have to run research differently with this audience. You're talking to CEOs and VPs, right? This isn't just an average residential user. Could you share a little bit more about what is making the research with this audience a little more unique for you?
Yeah, so I think we have to think research a little bit differently, interacting with our community members. So one part is research, but the other part is really building the relationship with them. On the research side, for the platform, actually is really helpful for me as a researcher. I can just do a discussion topic where I send out some of the questions and I can quickly gather feedback from my community members. I could do one-on-one interviews, focus group, live chat, those a different type of research methodologies. We just try to utilize a variety of methodologies to engage with our customers. So that's one side. The other side on the engagement or building the relationship side is we also don't want to just create participant fatigue, keep asking them questions. We want to really kind of build a relationship. So we have to be really creative about how we engage with them. On the community, we have member of the quarter. We recognize who contribute the most for our community. We have annual swag. We really just really care about our community members and treat them, respect them, and really build the relationship there. So that's another way we are engaging with them differently. And I think the other thing that I benefit a lot is because we are utilizing Fuel Cycle, and I have two people from Fuel Cycle. One is a community manager, the other is account manager, and then they will support me all the time. And whenever I run out of ideas, I always come back to them, and they are super helpful because for them, their expertise is running the community. They know what's maybe for another community, they utilize this method, and they will kind of really talk to me, which has been really, really helpful for us.
Yeah, definitely. We couldn't make it without the Fuel Cycle support. But I think the other part, too, that has been really beneficial is that it brings people from the product side into the community, which is really what our members are craving. They want to be talking to our CEO. Our CEO messaged the group personally and delivered a personal message. People who are actively working on products are coming in and sharing some of their early ideas with our community. And that is really why they're there. So that's the engagement that they expect. They're not there because they get a gift card or they get maybe a free product. That's not at all why they're there. So that makes engagement harder in some ways. So, but I think by bringing in those other teammates to engage our community, they're also getting a huge benefit by hearing not just through our research findings or the great insights that Sue delivers, it's firsthand knowledge and in real-time conversations that they're having.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So the community is an open platform where we can give access to everyone working in the company, and whenever they have time, they can just check it out. So versus traditionally, when we are doing a share out, they have another meeting conflict. They cannot commit to the time, but they can really whenever they want to see it, they can just check it out. The other thing that is really interesting, I think you mentioned a little bit, Jen, is after they started to see the community and comments, they started to have more questions from our packaging team or our other teams. They will be like, Sue, can I ask this question? I'm really curious. Can I ask those? So that we can really kind of make research more accessible for the whole organization. And I think that's actually how we are running it very differently versus where we were before.
And good for the packaging team, because if you guys have Sonos products, you know that unpacking a Sonos product rivals Apple in what that unboxing is definitely like. But really good segue into talking about how you synthesize your findings and the use case across your organization. I think your team really prides itself on the fact that most people in the organization know about the community, they know how they can engage with it. So, how do you go about synthesizing your findings, and how do you get teams involved and to gain their interest? Because I know that that's something that people struggle with is I want to have our product team in here. I want to have the marketing team involved, but how do you go about that?
Yeah, I think we actually, collaboration is the key word here. And we actually changed the way that I do a research. I'm the researcher, that's like my study, and I go do it and I share it back. We actually changed the traditional way we are doing it. From the very beginning, we started to talk with our product managers. We'll ask them, what are the decisions that you're making? What are the strategy? What are the key problems you are having? Let's try to see how research can help you. So we involve our stakeholders from the very beginning versus at the end stage. And then that's the beginning. And then when I'm running study, one thing that I really like Field Cycle about is the Field Cycle Live. So they will be able to watch all the sessions. And the other function that is really helpful in the Field Cycle Live is I can insert a survey. So if someone watched the session, I can ask them, what are your top three takeaways? So they're not just like watching the session for watching it, but they actually thinking through about it. So they were more involved in kind of like really hearing the feedback. And then we also sometimes organize workshops to do some synthesize. So we use like some of the digital whiteboarding tool. We kind of like talk about what are the themes you see, what are the problems you see, or what are the actions you are going to take with the research. And then I go back to synthesize the learning and do the share out. So with that way, like when I'm doing the share out, my stakeholders is not thinking about, oh, is that true? Have I heard about it? Like, is that true? They are more thinking about, oh, okay, I heard the same thing, and how should I take actions? How should I implement it in my product brief? How should I do differently, meeting the customer needs? So that's a kind of like a process change and mindset change for us as well.
Definitely. One other thing I'll add, and I know it came up in a previous session, but before we jump the gun and say, let's get some product ideas in front of these folks, we really wanted to do some foundational work to really develop these key archetypes that we were able to synthesize for our broader team. And that really is, it was very complex. And as we mentioned earlier, it's not just one decision maker. It could be 8 to 15 people deciding on their audio solution for their business, and they have different attributes and they have different things that needs, they have different pain points. And so what we did in our synthesis is develop these archetypes. And we believe archetypes are stand the test of a longer period of time. So it's not really a persona like that's Bob, he wakes up at 6 a.m. We wanted something that's let's develop a tool, a synthesized version of these different types of people in a way that immediately helps our teams get into their mindset. And so we call them our professional mindsets. So that was really important. And now in the community, as Sue can attest to, we need to talk more to that that particular archetype. They're using those terms now, and we're all speaking the same language. So that was really important in this work.
Yeah, the other thing I would add is we have a kind of like work stream called Insights to Action, because some of the things we struggle before is we do this share out, everyone was like, yeah, great presentation, and then you never know what are they taking actions or not. Are you going to really take actions? So we are actually incorporating that action phase into our research. So after we did the share out, I started to really kind of synthesize or summarize together some of the really interesting learnings. And we will kind of like really start a meeting and talk with our stakeholders to really talk about what are the actions are you taking? Or should we just park it aside? Anything new that we should really learn about? So really trigger our team to think about it so that like we can make insights more actionable, which will be really helpful, right?
Don't let your findings go into the research graveyard like we've talked about before, right? So
Amen.
You've all got this repository of all your PowerPoint decks. You need to kind of move beyond that, right? So what we'll sort of end on here with this question is sort of what's next, right? You think you have a good enough work stream and things seem to be going well, but you never want to sort of rest and be like, okay, this is what's going to work forever, right? So where do you go from here?
Yeah, so actually last year in April, we have a huge progress. We launched our first professional or commercial offering that is Sonos Pro that you can see on the screen. And you can see from like the way we talk to our customers is really based on the customer needs and also the research insights. Our marketing team really incorporate the research insights a lot, and that's a huge milestone for us. And that's like a really concrete example as a business outcome based on the research. And definitely we are learning a little bit more about our professional customers, trying to see what are the like next level experience we can bring to them. On the community side, we have a good amount of participants in the community. So now we can really enjoy the quantitative benefits of using like utilizing the community, where I can just run some really large amount surveys, quantitative surveys, to be more efficient and also cost effective. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. And we're really excited about our first launch, and there'll be many more. But this is also, now that we have an actual product out in the world, it's a great time for marketing to start jumping in more in our community and really, learning about how we're doing. So it's a beautiful feedback cycle that we've been dreaming about for several years, and we're finally there. So we're really excited about what's to come with that.
And we'll be excited to get you on board with some of our newer capabilities like Insights Reels, where you can do research in video format, almost like TikTok, which is pretty exciting. So I'll leave our key takeaways up here while we kind of open it up to questions to make sure that we have time for those. Yeah.
It was a long question for me to repeat, but I think the essence of the question was, do we want to keep this just a user experience thing, or do we imagine, like, how do we navigate bringing in marketing and other folks to extend the reach of this work and where it will lead to our end customer? So I will say that, as we started this journey, again, I'll go back to, we can't build products for ourselves. So we immediately had marketing on our side. Which I think is a great example actually for our consumer arm. But I think marketing has been arm in arm with us through this whole process. And actually the private preview that Sue mentioned was in collaboration with marketing and the sales team. So we would actively get people reaching out to us. Hey, does Sonos make any products for commercial businesses? And there was nowhere to take those leads. And guess what? We were there at the ready to listen. Let's hear about your needs. And so we work very closely with the sales team right off the bat to really connect with these folks. And they've been tracking what we've been doing. So I predict, very, very much so, I predict that the fact that we're talking to real users and real needs will definitely reach our target audiences at some point. And they will know, like, this is right from the cat's mouth, or whatever they say. So I think that's something that's really benefited Pro. And as I said, we're modeling across the company because it's been so successful. So no, we don't want it to just be a user experience thing. We want everybody to get value from this community. And that also helps us with engagement. So it's really a beautiful thing.
So there are a lot of differences. One thing that we mentioned is for the decision-making process, there are multiple decision makers involved in the B2B scenario. The other thing you want to think about is for the usage, like in the commercial spaces, thinking about food service space, there's more tier and wear of the device versus a home environment. And also for commercial spaces, we see there's a lot of like requirements in regarding to flexibility. So the offering we are developing needs to be flexible to meet the different needs of different brands. Even if you think about food service, the different brand, they have their own focus, they have their brand image, and how we can deliver an offering that fits for different needs for the different food service restaurants or bars or those kind of like verticals. The other thing we see on the commercial side is residential. You probably will you'll see like maybe like mid market, premium market, but in residential, in the commercial, it's really about different verticals, and you want to think about what are the priorities for them for the different use cases. Yeah, hopefully that helps.
I think yeah, definitely. And I think the other key piece, yes, it is personal. So brands do take it seriously. It's a part of the sensorial experience that they're trying to provide their customers. And I also think the other piece I'll mention that is a bit different here is exactly what makes our product beautiful and consumer can be a real pain point in the commercial environment. For example, if staff is playing death metal in a makeup shop, I'm just making this up, but it's not the best experience for that brand, and it has negative implications, right? So the things that keep it open and consumer, everybody can listen to what they want. That doesn't work in commercial all the time. So there's really what we're trying to do with this first product release is give that we call the brand guardian really the tools that enable them to have that control over the experience.
Thank you so much. I do want to be mindful of time and everyone's stomachs, so thank you all for joining the session today. The Sonos team will be at the Fuel Cycle booth. If you do want to stop by anytime throughout the conference, we'd love to speak with you. Thank you all.
Thank you.